what mechanisms exist, or do you think that we can develop or create to transmit feminist lineage, moral, culture, spiritual inheritance, and not just from an intellectual point of view, because it feels that there's a gap, there's an absence of that deep spiritual, traditional, cultural wisdom. Um, it doesn't feel as if it's been embraced in any direct way. I mean, our women are just, when at the reunion, my head just was expanding listening to the women and their achievements and their intellect. And, I mean, these are some boss ladies, as the young people say. And I just love it. But I feel there is something missing as far as that aspect of tradition and culture. And I wonder, first of all, I wonder if you think that, and if you see any space or room for that to become part of something that we take on. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, Auntie Gloria, I agree with you. There is something missing. It is not just something, it's not just something, some things
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
missing.
Yeah.
I would like to start from simply recording our memories.
Mm.
I can't tell you how many rooms I've been in
Mm.
with older African sisters who have
Mm.
spent decades, the best part of their life and their careers,
Mm.
doing significant things in the
Mm.
feminist movement
Mm.
all over the continent.
Mm.
But very few of us have
Mm.
actually documented our experiences.
Yes. Yes.
Now, I speak knowing fully that I have certain privileges
Mm.
to do with my age, to do with the spaces I've occupied, to do with the fact that I happen to be a writer. So some things come more easily to me than
Mm.
others.
Mm. Mm.
But you don't know how many women I've persuaded to write their memoirs.
Mm.
And I tell them, if you don't know where to start, there are a lot of young people around, researchers, young scholars who can help.
Yeah.
And we can look for resources to support you to get it done.
Yeah.
I remember having a conversation with Mama Gertrude Mongella,
Mm.
who was the Secretary General of the Beijing Conference.
Mm.
And at the time, it was something that was absolutely amazing for those of us who were younger women, who were African women, and to see a woman from the continent being the one who was the voice of women of the world. And so, and over the years, I've run into her in different spaces. We've done a lot of things together. And
Mm.
sometime in 2019, the African Union organized an event
Mm.
as part of their preparations for Beijing plus 25.
Mm.
Which was
Mm.
going to be, which they wanted to come, to celebrate in 2020,
Mm.
and then COVID struck.
Mm.
But at this event in Addis that the AU had organized, I
Mm.
sat next to Mama Mongela and we were having this conversation. And so I asked her, Mama, how far with your memoirs? And she
Mm.
hummed and she had, and she said, oh, she's working on it, and there are people who she's looking for to help and so on. So I said, look, I have come up with a simple framework for people who want to write memoirs.
Mm.
I will send it to you. So whoever is going to be assisting you, they can use that as a guide.
Mm.
Because I used that to support a friend of mine who was turning 60 a few years ago and wanted to put her memoirs together. So I came up with this very
Mm.
simple framework that anyone
Mm.
can use for
Yes.
process questions to set them on their journey.
Mm.
Auntie Gloria, this is the year 2025.
Mm.
I sat with Mama Mongela again this year at CSW in March, and I asked her
Mm.
the same question. Mama, how far with the book?
Mm.
And she said, oh, it's coming, because she'll always tell me what I want to hear.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't want to call Mama Mongela out, but the thing is, she's not the only one.
Mm,
We have some amazing African women, sheroes, warriors who
yeah,
have done amazing things, but we need to get them to put their thoughts down.
yeah, yeah.
We need to get them to share their joys, their pain, their successes, and they can
Yeah,
share as only as much as they're willing to.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think some women are afraid that if they write their memoirs, they'll have to, it will make them more vulnerable than they need to be. And I understand that as someone who has written memoirs myself, I published my first book of memoirs and I saved my first book because it's not going to be the only memoirs I'll write. But I did my first book of memoirs in 2013 when I turned 50.
Mm,
And there
mm,
were some things I struggled with.
mm,
Should I not? But I thought,
mm,
one, and as you said earlier, I need to be as authentic as possible.
mm.
And two, it is my story. And so I have control over what I'm willing to share or
Yeah.
not.
Can I quickly ask you, when you say that you things that you struggled with, because this is probably something that lots of other people might have struggled with, are you willing to just give a little example of the kind of things that you struggled with in writing initially?
Of course, we all go through certain things in our lives, things that give us pain, things that cause us to um locate ourselves into
Mm,
dark places.
mm,
For a whole range of reasons.
okay.
Every single one of us as human beings, we
Mm,
experience that.
okay.
It's a part of our journey as human beings.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
will experience it in our personal lives, and we'll experience it professionally as well,
Mm, mm,
or in
mm,
our communities, assuming you're part
mm,
of a community that, and the war breaks out, and so on.
mm,
That's a dark period, and all kinds of things happen during those kinds of situations. So that's what I
mm.
mean. And
Okay.
so, but at the same time, we are resilient enough
Mm,
and resourceful enough to share stories that are still interesting, that are still engaging.
mm,
Because whatever it is we don't want to talk about, or whatever information we think is going to make us too vulnerable, is just one piece.
yeah.
And then there are other things, that can come into the mix. So,
Mm,
because there are a couple of other things I want to mention,
yeah.
but I don't leave them out. So the first issue is memories. We need to capture our memories. We need to
Mm,
get more African women to write their stories, talk about their challenges, their upbringing, their triumphs, failures, and then share what lessons they've learned from all those experiences.
mm,
Another thing I think is missing, which will speak to your question, or in terms of what strategies we can use to move forward, we need more conversations.
mm,
It is not enough for us, because what has happened now is we have this divide. And as we have different conversations around Beijing plus 30 in different places, it's becoming
mm,
obvious that we have this group of veteran women like you and I
mm.
who were part of that. And even those who didn't go to Beijing were still part of the history of
Yeah.
Beijing.
Yeah.
And then we have these young women who are the front lines of really interesting work today.
Mm,
They're doing really well. They have excellent education, great networks, very resourceful, but they don't have the experiences that we've had.
yeah.
And we've probably not had the opportunity to sit with them to say, okay, this is
Mm,
how it happened, and so on. And then
mm,
we've had a lot of dislocation. So we have
mm,
our children moving away from us to different parts of the world, and
mm,
they are part of other cultures. And the things that are supposed to be legitimately and genuinely ours as African women
mm,
are beginning to slip away from our
mm.
hands. The
Yeah.
other day I remember having a conversation. It was just after we got back from Kampala, and there was this sister who was our age,
Mm.
who was saying with all of she was very passionate about it, that everybody in her office calls her by her name. And because in our office, because it's a media outfit, everyone we address each other by name and so on.